believe how much your life has changed in the last year?
Play the record. Please welcome Dream.
The four fresh-faced girls of Dream are living proof that dreams do come true. 2 years ago, Melissa Schumann, Holly Arnstein, Diana Ortiz, and Ashley Poole were typical teenagers from Southern California, singing their hearts out and praying for the day they would be discovered. Then, Dream was formed following a massive audition, one which Ashley learned about when she called 1-800-BE-A-STAR.
I sang the Titanic song, My Heart Will Go On, by Sleepy Eyes.
A year later, their big break came. The girls got a personal meeting with rapper record mogul Sean Puff Daddy.
What do you remember about the audition for Puffy?
Well, we were nervous. Not much, that's for sure. I know that, I don't know, it was kind of weird because we weren't expecting, Puffy to be interested in us. So when he asked to come see us at the Beverly Hills Hotel, it was just really like nerve-wracking. And I just like, oh my gosh.
I was just really so impressed because they were so small. And they were so young, I was like, wow, these girls are really talented.
He gave us like a big long talk afterwards about how he runs Bad Boy and everything. So we're thinking, okay, it's a good sign. He's taking his time.
The girls thought they finally made it, but Puffy wasn't going to make it that easy.
And then the last thing he said to us was, well, best of luck to you guys. And that, that just kind of threw us.
Fun-loving Puffy was just joking around. He signed them on the spot and molded their debut album on Bad Boy. Going together got a lot easier when Dream's first single, He Loves You Not, soared to number 2.
Just want to let everybody know we want to thank everybody out there in TRL land, MTV land, for making them platinum. They platinum. So thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Dream heads out on the TRL tour with Destiny's Child this July 18th.
I was unhappy in the group for quite some time, and I had tried to quit on the road, actually.
Right.
And that was really, really, really dramatic. I'm glad that I did not leave then. It was premature, but I mean, I had left, or I wanted to leave not because of the girls. I loved you girls. It wasn't a matter of that. It was didn't feel like it was like a really healthy sort of working dynamic with a lot of the other people on our team.
Right.
And I just was not happy.
So, 2002, summer of 2002. You are, I take it, in high school maybe?
Yeah, actually, so 9th grade going into 10th grade, I was dancing at Millennium Dance Complex, which is where Wade Robson was teaching at the time and taught for many years. And I used to take his class. So I did see Ashley and Diana come into one of the classes that he did. And I did know, I heard somewhere that Wade was producing some songs for them. I think someone in the class had told me, like, oh, those girls look familiar. Oh, they're from Dream. Wade's producing a couple of songs. And it might have been just after I heard that Melissa was leaving the group. I did hear that on TRL directly, like from P. Diddy's mouth. He was hosting TRL that day, and he said, oh, you know, we've got some bad news, like Melissa from Dream. He was doing the TRL news bit of the TRL episode and saying, you know, she's leaving the group and she's pursuing acting, but we are, you know, still planning on moving forward with the 3 girls, and we are looking into possibly replacing Melissa with a 4th member. We're doing auditions in LA, Chicago, New York, or something like that. And I remember seeing that episode live and thinking to myself, oh, that's so interesting. Like, what if I got into Dream? That would be my dream, of course, you know, to be a part of a girl group like that. I grew up, you know, loving the Spice Girls, and Spice Girls were my jam when I was 11, 12. Whose were they not, really? If you were into pop music, you loved the Spice Girls. But of course, you know, that was just a thought in my head. And then I saw, you know, my mom saw on the Millennium Dance Complex audition posting. She saw that they were having that Wade was hosting auditions for a major girl group and this and that. It had these like particular kind of like keywords, and I was like, that's got to be for Dream, because I know that Melissa left the group, and then, you know, it said that Wade was hosting and I knew he was working with Dream. I was like, this has to be for Dream. So, you know, it said the dates on there, these 2 days in LA that they were hosting. I think he had an audition actually before that. I forgot this bit. This bit was, I used to subscribe to this. I lived in California, and I subscribed to this magazine called Backstage West magazine. And it was just all the auditions for everything under the sun, like in West Hollywood. And so basically I saw in that magazine a very, very, very similar ad for Wade-Giroux Productions, which was, you know, Wade's production company hosting for a major girl group, And by the time I looked at the magazine, it was like a day later. It was like, I missed it by a day. I missed the auditions by a day. And so I thought, oh, like this had to be for Dream. It had to be, you know. And so the second time that I saw they put out auditions again, like a second audition, that was the time I was able to actually get in. So it's interesting. They already had auditions. I knew that they had auditions. And then I saw that my mom saw the audition board. She saw that paper and was like, she took it off. I think it wasn't like one of those little tags. She like took the whole page off, which everybody was supposed to get. So maybe that's why I got in. I was the only one that auditioned. No one else got to see it. But she took it off and gave it to me. I was like, Mom, I don't think you're supposed to take it off completely. But anyway, so I made that audition, and I saw Diana walking out the door as I walked in.
And so anyways, me and Dinah were like, all right, I've seen enough. We've been here for an hour. Like, it's time to go.
And I was like, hi, Diana. I had to learn all their names because I didn't have their album and I didn't know their names. And my friends were really big fans. Like my one friend, Ashley, had her, you know, had Dream posters everywhere and like, you know, had their album and everything. I'm like, you know, I liked them. I definitely did. I was like following the TRL tour and all of that, but I didn't, you know, I was glad actually at that point that I wasn't a fan, because I know they weren't looking for fans. They obviously, that would be a little bit creepy. So, so I was like, oh yes, I don't have their album, because they did ask me that in the audition. They were like, do you have any Dream albums? And I was like, no, I don't actually. I was like, is this a good or bad thing that I don't have it? But of course, after my audition, I went straight to Warehouse Records or something like that and got the record. But yeah, so I saw Holly walking into the audition, and I you know, I like sat there and I was so nervous, and my mom was just like, Casey, you're gonna kill it. She was always my biggest supporter, but she's like, oh, you know, she was fangirling a little bit, like, oh my gosh, you just saw Diana and this and that. And when I was spending so much time in the audition, my mom was like, oh, this is a good sign. This is a good thing that she's spending a lot of time in there. And Holly had questions, and there was the producer of Clockwork, which was Debbie. She was asking questions. It was like the music producer there, Alex, and Holly was there. So she was the only member of Dream that was there to actually see my audition in person.
And now that we're standing face to face, something tells me it's gonna be okay. And I'm ready to fall in love tonight. I'm ready to hold my heart open wide. I can't promise forever, but baby, I'll try. Yes, I'm ready to fall in love tonight.
That's very nice.
That's like my favorite song in the whole world. On the line soundtrack. Alright. So just groove and yeah, just freestyle. Alright. We know it's not. Nice to see you. Have I met you before? Or? No. Oh, okay. I was like, everybody knows you.
I remember seeing one of my friends' auditions actually for Dream because I didn't know that she had auditioned, but she was an acquaintance friend of mine that did Kids of Rock Theater with me in Hollywood. And I saw her, I was like, I know who that is. She was in Kids of Rock Theater with me. And I saw a couple other people that I knew. And I know like Haley Duff auditioned, Hillary Duff's sister. I know she auditioned. I think maybe I did or didn't get to see her. I can't remember. It was really interesting that I got to see a couple of people that I knew auditioning for Dream also.
Short. Yeah, 5'2", 5'3". On the small side. Yeah, I think I'm almost 5'4". I consider myself 5'4".
She'd probably be like a half inch taller than Ashley, I bet.
I was going to ask what was your first impressions of the girls, but I think, you know, we probably touched on that, but I'm assuming everyone was really lovely.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was actually in like looking back on it, I probably wouldn't have said it at the time. I think I was a little bit starstruck. I had met celebrities before in my life, but it wasn't like anything major. It was kind of like, it was sort of like the Twilight Zone. Like, how am I auditioning for this group? And then beyond the audition, it was kind of like, how are these people serious about me being in this group? You know? So my first impression was probably a little bit of being starstruck. I mean, recognizing Diana and recognizing Holly in the audition, like Holly's the lead singer, like she sings all of Dream's songs and she's in so much of the music videos and these 3 music videos that had already come out by the time that I had auditioned. So it's a very cool thing that I just can't even describe. But beyond that, I really did get to know the girls as friends. And my first impressions of them were that they're very close and tight knit. And it was a little bit intimidating because like I can be a real charmer for sure. And like turn on the friendly vibes and all of that. But you know, you can't fake a connection with people. So I was just kind of nervous that the media or kind of people that, you know, that knew Dream might see through that or maybe think that I wasn't a good fit or something like that. But the girls were all really, really very cool with me. And they were playing pranks on me from the beginning of my time watching scary movies. Like we did all the things that like teenage girls do, you know, and like gossip and boyfriends. And I didn't have a boyfriend, but they did at the time. They all had a boyfriend, you know, went out and like we got to go to really cool parties and stuff. So they were really cool people. Like my life revolved around them, you know. So, and I honestly really, really genuinely love and loved each one of them. So yeah, they all made a great impression on me. Diana's really super like motherly and like big sister energy and such a lover, very like affectionate. And she was super funny too, like in a way that you don't expect. Her and Ashley were very, very, very silly together all the time. Like, especially her and Ashley were like dynamic duo. This is like more behind the scenes. Ashley was definitely big sister energy in a different way. Not as much like, you know, touchy feely, but very much like protective and loyal and crazy, like kind of out to do anything and like prank anybody and like say anything to anyone. And she was just, she didn't care what people thought about her. And I loved that. I also stayed at her apartment a lot. When I first got into Dream, we really connected. I mean, obviously she's my sister, like literally now, but we really connected a lot. We were always together. She'd come over to my house. She would sleep over, you know, her family was out of town, whereas the other two girls had their family in LA. So, you know, Ashley was staying over at my house a lot. So she was definitely like big sister vibes for sure. We hung out a ton. And then Holly, on a cerebral level, I really connected to. She's super intelligent and bright. I mean, the most incredible singer, like really even more. It's hard to even pick up like her singing ability by just the song that she sang in Dream. She's incredibly talented and bright and almost like it was almost intimidating to me, like how intellectual and like and serious she could be, and interesting, but she also got in on the jokes and was silly too. Her family really took me in a lot as well when I first got into Dream, and I stayed at the famous Dream house, if you ever got to see Cribs, which was so silly because I got to see Cribs before I got to stay in the house, which was really weird. I did see the Dream Cribs episode. So her family was really, really super sweet to me, and her sisters and stuff. So those were kind of like, I guess, more in-depth first impressions of the girls individually. And I can actually comment on Melissa also. Okay. Melissa was so incredibly sweet to me. I got to meet her when we were in Dream first at an event. It was like just like saying hey in passing.
Yeah.
She congratulated me, I think, and like gave me a hug, and we definitely were very friendly. And then I got to meet her. I think we had lunch or something. I honestly can't remember. Or we were supposed to have lunch, or she like asked about going to lunch with me and like filling me in on stuff. I was like, she's so nice. Yeah. But eventually when we did get to like actually hang out in somewhat of a social context, she was really sweet to me also, and very much like not territorial about Dream or anything, which I was really impressed with. She's just a mature and great person. So that was my first impression of her also. So Melissa and I probably talk like second most out of all the girls. I probably talk with Melissa. After Ashley, I talk with Melissa every now and again.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember when I was like first getting into like Dream, and I discovered what you guys were, and I can't remember how I figured it or I found it out, but when I found out that you and Ashley were like sisters, I was like, that's such a cool story. Like I never really, I was like, that sounds like a Lifetime movie. Like it doesn't even sound real.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it?
It's really cool.
That's very true. They should make a Lifetime movie about how Ashley met
that,
how they fell in love. Yeah,
that is cool.
That's funny.
So next question is, so obviously you do that audition in front of Holly. Were there other auditions after that? And then how did you find out, like where were you and how were you told like you were in the band?
Oh, that was a really interesting process. So a little backstory. I know I'm really long-winded on all these questions, but there's a lot of information to give because people don't often interview me. And I do feel like I have a little bit of a backstory here. So the girls had left Arista Records, and I guess they were trying to put together a new girl group for Arista Records. And I had auditioned for that group, not really knowing what that was. Mm-hmm. This was months before I auditioned for Dream. And so they were, they had a production company or whatever, like trying to put together this girl group to replace Dream on Arista Records. So I got into that group.
Oh.
After you fly to New York, we can, we get the stamp of approval from the label. You can be initiated into the group. She can be a bit too strict with children that are not her own. We were children. We were not just performers. Used some pretty harsh language. Don't you let